I'm at the Imperial War Museum at Duxford on the 2nd of June 2019, and next week it is the 75th anniversary of D-Day. Now, there is a very special event next week called Daks over Duxford and then Daks over Normandy. So what's that mean? Well, Daks is short for Dakota, and Dakota is the RAF designation of the C-47. The US Air Force designation is the Skytrain. So behind me we have a DC-3 and a C-47 Skytrain, or a Dakota. Now, what are these two aircraft? Well, the DC-3 is the civilian commercial variant, and the C-47 is the military variant. The DC-3 came first in 1936. It was introduced. About 600 of the aircraft were built, and it revolutionised passenger air travel in the 1930s. It could fly further, faster, and provide a more comfortable experience for passengers, and is widely considered the first aircraft that could carry only passengers, no cargo, and still turn a profit. Now, the C-47 was developed during World War II because there was an unmet need for a troop carrier. There were about 10,000 C-47s made, and then another 5,000 or 6,000 that were licensed versions built by the Japanese and the Russians. So what's the difference between these two aircraft? Well, the C-47 has a couple of modifications. One, it's got a cargo door, so rather than having a stair ramp to get in and out, it's just got a door. So you can load cargo into the aircraft, or you can jump out the aircraft as a paratrooper. It also has a strengthened steel floor to increase the loading capacity of the aircraft. And something that you might not have known was a thing is something called an Astrodome. So on the top of the C-47 is a small perspex dome. And that means that the navigator can use the stars to navigate, because these aircraft were flown in a time well before GPS. The C-47 proved to be an extremely versatile aircraft. It was used for troop transport, towing gliders, dropping paratroopers, medevac, all sorts of things. After World War II, there was a surplus of the aircraft, and they went to do many different things. Some of the old military variants were converted back into civil airliners. One of the testaments to how durable the aircraft design is that, don't forget that the C-47s were based on the DC-3. The DC-3 is over 80 years old, and they are still flying today. There are actually C-47s that are still in operation with several air forces around the world. According to Wikipedia, it was estimated that in 2013, over 2,000 of the DC-3 variants were still airworthy and flying today. So what's happening at Duxford? Why are there these two aircraft here? Well, there are actually 23, I think, aircraft here right now today. They go all the way down there. I live very close to the Imperial War Museum and come fairly regularly. This is the most aircraft I've ever seen kind of on the apron at the front of the airfield. It's quite phenomenal to see so many of the same aircraft in the same place. And these aircraft are all gathering because next week they're going to take off, fly in formation to northern France, drop some paratroopers onto the beaches that were used on the Normandy landings, and then they're going to reside in France for a few days as a commemorative D-Day 75 event. D-Day was the 6th of June 1944. D-Day, by the way, the D in D-Day doesn't actually stand for anything. It marks the day where something is going to begin in like military terms. So the most famous D-Day is the 6th of June 1944, and that is the beginning of Operation Overlord. You also have H-hour, which is the time on D-Day when something is going to start. So H-hour then becomes 0 hour, and 0 hour is when stuff starts to happen. Anyway, I digress. On the 5th of June 1944, over 1,000 aircraft, 1,000 C-47s took off and deposited over 10,000 American paratroopers into northern France. This wasn't the only time that the aircraft was used during the war. It was used quite extensively as troop transport, medevac, towing gliders. So when they didn't have enough aircraft to deploy all the paratroopers that they needed, they would have a C-47 towing something like a Horsa glider, which was a completely wooden aircraft. Oh, hello.
Oh, hello, boys.
Two twin seats. Very nice. So this hasn't been a 2-minute topic. This is something a little bit different, a bit of history for you. But as always, I've been Zach, and I suppose we'll see you in the next video. See you later.